Do the Hoosiers have a legitimate shot at the college football playoff? And Mike Woodson said one of the most boneheaded things I've heard in a long time. We'll talk about it all on this episode. Let's get into it.
1 for 3 on the way.
Hello, guys, and thank you for joining me on Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this Indiana Hoosiers and Colts community on here. We're going to be talking about the Hoosiers football today, and then we'll talk about Indiana basketball because there is a lot to discuss. Indiana plays Northwestern at Northwestern, 14-point favorites right now, and we're going to look at Indiana's schedule and everything like that and just talk about how this team, what would it look like? What would they have to do to make the college football playoff? Is it a possibility? And what's in our favor and what's not in our favor for that to all happen? We'll talk about that. And then Mike Woodson, he went on a podcast, Nick's podcast, and he was talking somewhat about the Hoosiers. And we're going to talk about something he said on there about a certain player on Indiana that really, I'm going to tell you, it really makes my blood boil once we got into this. You know, I'm playing some relaxing music here on the TV to try to keep myself calm with some of this jazz music. But when I hear him say something like this, literally a part of my brain feels like it's going to just blow out of the top of my head. I mean, we'll talk about it in just a minute. But if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button down below. This is Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. It's electric. Join Indiana Sports Connection. Between now and the end of the year, all of my AdSense revenue, I'm going to donate to Tunnel for Towers. So T2T.org is their website, and I will be donating all of the AdSense revenue from this show, T2T.org. So I will keep you updated on where we are at on that. I believe we're at like $86 right now in AdSense revenue. So all you got to do is watch the show, share the video, give it a thumbs up, and you are helping me if you're watching the video just by watching. So if you don't know, once you're over 1,000 subscribers, then you get AdSense revenue directly from YouTube. And I have a new sponsor on the show, BetUS, and I will have some links coming out for them shortly. Now that you subscribed, you hit the thumbs up, you did all that good stuff, let's get into talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. All right, so we're going to talk about football first. Cignetti going into Northwestern, what do we have to look forward to in this game? We'll break it down. And what does Indiana's schedule look like the rest of the year? How could they get into the college football playoff? Well, first, you have Curtis Rourke for Indiana. He has been impressive through the first 4 starts. The senior, he's posted 1,372 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Rourke is an Ohio Bobcat transfer who racked up 7,500 yards and 50 touchdowns with the Ohio program. Now let's look at Northwestern. Jack Losk, and I'm probably butchering that name, took over the starting job 2 games for the Wildcats and posted 280 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 48% passing percentage. Northwestern is struggling to move the ball. Northwestern is struggling to score. They're struggling to complete passes. Lausch managed 53 yards on 8 of 27 passing against Washington. So Mike Wright, Vanderbilt transferred, could be back under center at any given week. So Northwestern could have another quarterback come in during this game. That's just how badly they're struggling. I don't see this game as being any type of big obstacle for Indiana. I think they'll roll over Northwestern. The bigger game coming up will be Nebraska at home. That has to be, and if you've watched any of Nebraska, watch one of their games where they played Colorado earlier in the year, about 3 weeks ago, and Nebraska killed Colorado in that game. Now, Colorado is a really bad team. This quarterback for Nebraska, he looks like Patrick Mahomes. He acts like Patrick Mahomes. He chews his mouthpiece the same as Patrick Mahomes. He says he's not acting like Patrick Mahomes, but when it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So, I mean, he definitely knows something. He definitely plays like Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough matchup for our defense. Hillbilly Monkey, let's pull up the schedule Did you move on me back there?
Yeah, I move over here because would you try to block me out with your big fat body over there?
I didn't try to block you out with my big fat body.
Yeah, here's the schedule there.
All right, so pull the schedule up. We got this up here, and at Northwestern this week, and then the big one, Nebraska at home. Luckily, Indiana has a lot of their games, their big games are at home, except for at Ohio State. So realistically, to get into the college football playoff, Indiana is going to have to win all their games out and really beat Michigan at home. That is it. I've heard some rebuttals amongst people saying if they're 10-2, maybe they would get into the college football playoff. I don't think so. If there is any other team that they could put in, if Notre Dame has 2 losses and Indiana has 2 losses, I'm sorry, but they will put Notre Dame in every single time. And our basketball team gets those type of good graces because we sell out our basketball arena every time. We have tons of basketball fans. They want to put Indiana basketball in the big dance. It just so happens that we don't know how to play basketball most of the time, so we can't get into the big dance because we forgot how to play basketball at some point. My point being there, they don't want to put our football team in this college football playoff. No way, no how. We know what happened during that COVID year. Remember during the COVID year when Ohio State had to sit out those games? Suddenly, when Indiana was going to play in the Big Ten championship, they just changed the rules immediately. That is what they will do anything to keep Indiana out of this college football playoff. So they have to be 11-1 to have a chance to get in the college football playoff. Can they do it? I believe they can do it. I believe in Cignetti, and I believe it's got to be on a week-to-week basis, but I think they roll over Northwestern because our defense is playing pretty decent, and their offense is just struggling to move the ball at all. From what I'm looking at these statistics, they're awful. Hillbilly Monkey, have you seen such a thing? Somebody kept. You can't throw the ball in college. You can't throw the ball anywhere. I'm telling you. One other thing I want to bring up, like the Hoosiers are 5-0. Remember the year Colorado had with Deion Sanders, with all the bling, with all the gold sunglasses? Why does he go somewhere, gets all this attention? I remember there being thinking like people were talking crazy on the networks like ESPN saying they're going to be in the college football playoff. Remember they started out 3-0. What did they win another game the rest of the year? I think they lost like every single game. My point is, Indiana gets no attention. Curt Cignetti is getting no attention. He's finally starting to turn some heads here, but this is exactly how I like it. This is exactly my style. My style is come flying in under the radar. You know, you're not ranked. Nobody thinks anything of you. And then you just go out there and you just kick their ass every single game. And as long as nobody's talking about it, you're just going to catch teams by surprise and continue kicking their ass. Look, Michigan is a beatable team, and Michigan can't keep winning games the way that they're winning games right now. Hopefully, Michigan doesn't figure it out by the time they play Indiana, and their offense is still just an awful, awful offense. We can take advantage of that. We can beat Michigan. We can beat Nebraska at home and Washington at home too. That game, that's one. Circle it on your calendars. Now at Ohio State, that's a whole nother ball of wax. That is a really difficult. You got a guy there that's, I think, one of the best coaches, Ryan Day, and he's not just going to roll over. So that's what I think about that. I hope you out there, you can keep the faith alive because, look, a lot of people are coming on board with Indiana football and starting to believe, and we got to get more fans out to the stadium. We got to get more support to show people do care about Indiana football. People do care about it. And look, I've wanted that experience my whole life. You know, I went to some Indiana football games with my dad when I was a kid, and I loved the just the tailgating and the drums and everything, the pageantry of it. It's great for kids. It's really a great thing. And the way they do it in the South is wild, how they do their tailgating and everything in the SEC. Let's bring that to Bloomington. Let's bring it here, you know. other people are doing that with basketball, and they're beating us in basketball, like Penn State and Northwestern. Might as well do it to them in football. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now let's talk about what Mike Woodson said on this podcast, because it is very alarming. It's got me
pissed. So
he went on this New York Knicks podcast. Now we are going to talk about some of the good things, and I'm just trying to be fair, because he did say some good things on here that I really never heard him say about how he really learned coaching from Larry Brown. This is the type of stuff. I don't know why Mike Woodson, he's so candid on this Knicks podcast, and he talks so much more freely about things when he's talking about the Knicks, which he coached there 10 years ago. When he's talking to the Indiana fans, boy, he's got this like real chip on his shoulder, like with the media and different things. I know he hates this show too. I bet he really hates me, like with a real passion. Let's play this first clip where he talks about how he got into coaching and Larry Brown, and just how he kind of like learned that process, because I've never really heard him articulate some of these things. Hillbilly Monkey, let's roll that clip. Go!
Was there a big adjustment for you in your first year from coaching pros to coaching student athletes?
Yeah, it's always an adjustment when you start something new that you've never done. You know, I think coaching is coaching, but you know, college is a little different. And Bob Knight kind of set the tone in terms in shaping my whole career as a basketball player. And you know, when I got into coaching and I started working for various coaches like Chris Ford and George Karl and Randy Whitman, when I got to Larry Brown, he taught me the right way, man. He just is, you know, and that's no knock against the other coaches. He just taught me how to prepare and take it more serious in terms of my approach to players on and off the court. You know, in my early days in coaching, I was still in that player's mentality.
But one thing I would never say, going from pro basketball to college basketball, is coaching is coaching. People that know the difference don't say things like that. People that know the difference and see the differences between college and pro basketball don't say coaching is coaching. They say things like, well, this is how I would do it if I was asked that question at a press conference. I would say the differences are vast. The way the players react to you, everything having to do with college basketball, it's vastly different than pro basketball. For this reason, pro basketball, you get the top cream of the crop, the top 1% of that top 1%, and you're coaching the players on the floor are that top 1% of even that top 1%. Those are the ones starting for you. Those aren't the guys you're coaching in college. You're coaching guys that are out of high school that are trying to learn basketball. Although I don't think any of these guys are learning basketball in any real meaningful way in college these days. But if that made any sense, Hillbilly Monkey, part of my brain is missing on this.
I think it was fine. What you said, it made sense to me. I mean, nobody wants to learn how to do anything anymore. Everyone's just self-righteous, got their head way up in the air, their nose way up in there all the time. Oh, everybody knows everything. Even just the parents want the money. Oh, my God. These parents want money.
That is a travesty. Even the parents want money. And then this next clip, something Mike Woodson says here that just made my hair on fire. I couldn't believe he said this. And I've gotten into a few arguments in the comments, or a few on some different channels in the comments about Mike Woodson, about his coaching style, about what he's going to do with these players. And when he says something like this, let's roll it.
We got a big 7-footer, Dallas James from Florida, you know, who's kind of a kid that's got some skill set, but he needs a lot of work. And, you know, I'm hoping, you know, once you get about a good month under him, that he's able to contribute behind Barlow a little bit, but we got a nice mixture of players for our ball club, and
it's like, no. Like this Dallas James guy, he averaged like 0.8 points a game. He thinks this guy is going to contribute. That shows why he's not a college basketball coach. That shows, look, because you don't have guys like that in the NBA. A guy like that just never even sniffs the bench in the NBA. For him to contribute at the Big Ten level, and look, we saw this last year. Look at the Wisconsin game last year. When Ware was hurt, he played Peyton Sparks the whole game. He didn't play Renew with the 5. He didn't let Mbako play the 4 and then let the better players like filter into different positions. That's not what he does. He plays guys position for position for position. That's how he coaches, and that is his system. And he's going to win and he's going to lose by doing it his way. This is just not good to hear. I mean, if he's going to put this guy actually in the game and have him play like 10 minutes of the game for Ballo, or even 8 minutes or 5 minutes, it just shows that I don't know. It just shows that he just does not have a clue what he is doing. I mean, he is not a good evaluator of what these young guys can do, because when you get in the NBA, you don't have to do that. Every guy can do everything in the NBA. That's the big difference, isn't it? I have nothing against, and I've not even watched him play. I've not watched anything about Dallas James. But I'm just saying, if that is where we're headed with this, it's not a spot that I want to be headed in. It's not a place where you think you're going to get him on the floor with all these guys you got out there working their asses off trying to do something. All these guards, that's the guy you're going to put in. You're not going to move Renew down to the 5 and let Mbako come in and play the 4, and even maybe let Mbako and Goody play the 4 and the 3 and 4 together at the same time. I'm telling you, it's not a modern style of basketball, and it's not a way that's going to bring any type of winning to Indiana if that's how you're going to rotate these guys. And I'm telling you, we're going to find out. We're going to find out in just a few weeks in this exhibition. And in the Marion exhibition, I'm going to that game. That should be a good one. Be coaching against Pat Knight, but we will find out who's coming in first off the bench, who's coming in these rotations. And look, he better hit the ground running, or else this is just, it could be bad. It could be bad. We're only like just a few weeks out from playing that South Carolina game at home, and that'll be a tester. That'll be a tester early on to see where this team is at. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Until next time, stay class out there, Hoosier fans.